My name is Brian Ogren. I'm from Rice University in Houston, Texas, and this year I have been the NEH Senior Scholar at the Center for Jewish History. I've been working on a book-length project, which I'm happy to say I brought to completion very recently, Kabbalah, Jewish Mysticism, Jewish Thought in Colonial America, and its uses in terms of shaping religious identity in the budding republic, as I call it. So at the center, there is a very rare manuscript copy of a Hebrew grammar, the first Hebrew grammar published in North America by a guy named Judah Monis, who was the first full-time Hebrew instructor at Harvard. And one of his students copied it out by hand in 1724. And the center holds a copy of William Metcalf's 1724 copy of this grammar. And this was very important to my research because it also has a whole list of theological notes at the end that is not included in the published version. So it gives me a sense of what was going on in Judah Monis's classroom. There's one quote, for example, he says, "What is the chief end of man?" And then he answers this: "The chief end of man is to glorify God and enjoy him forever." And then it goes on, it asks all kinds of questions. What is God? It talks about God is a spirit, infinite, eternal, and unchangeable in his being, wisdom, power, holiness, infinite goodness, and truth. And so this gives us an indication that Judah Monis was discussing much more than just Hebrew grammar in his classroom. And it's also this is the English version that I'm giving you here, but it's also written in Hebrew, these questions and answers. So it's very interesting to see this sort of meeting and melding of Jewish theology, Christian theology, Jewish thought in this Hebrew class of this strange figure. I wouldn't say it's good Hebrew. It's very strange Hebrew. It's certainly, right, it's before the revival of modern Hebrew. So they're working sort of on this biblical Hebrew model, but at the same time, it's very jumbled, the grammar itself. I'm in a strange period where I'm looking at various things. I've been exploring now into the 19th century. This work focused on late 17th and then into the 18th century. Now I'm looking at 19th century, considering staying with the American context. And there are all kinds of strange messianic developments. I'm looking at a guy named Warder Cresson, who was the first official consul to Israel. And he was this Quaker figure who converted to Judaism. And he's got all kinds of weird things going on with his story. He came back at he went over as the first consul to Jerusalem in the 1840s. He converted to Judaism, and then he came back to try to convince his family that they should convert to Judaism as well. And then his family brought against him a whole trial of lunacy. They tried to claim that he was an insane guy because he converted to Judaism, and it went to the courts, and it was really a landmark case in terms of showing that religious convictions shouldn't play any type of role in determining whether someone is sane or insane. And this was a big case also for the history of Judaism in the country in terms of, are people who are Jewish or who decide to become Jewish, are they crazy?